Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori and this is Africa 54. At this hour, Egypt is a nation in crisis. An uneasy calm hangs in the air over Cairo as the country remains a tinderbox, just a spark away from reignition into a more full-blown street battles. Now, the military-backed government followed through on its promise and violently cracked down on Islamist supporters of former President Mohamad Morsi. The carnage left more than 400 people dead and 3,500 injured. And just a short time ago, U.S. President Barack Obama strongly condemned the government's violence against the Egyptian people. We have team coverage of this extremely tense situation. We begin with VOA's Elizabeth Arrott in Cairo. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi, Vincent.
Now, first, let's talk about the president's condemnation of this violence in Egypt. He has also said there will be a suspension of a joint military exercises with the Egyptian military. Has there been a reaction from the Egyptian authorities?
Not official reaction yet, but it's not likely to make a huge impact. In fact, it might even come slightly to their advantage in the sense that it shows that they're not beholden to anybody. They can brush this off. General Fattah al-Sisi, who's really the power behind everything at this point, has already gone out of his way to dismiss the United States, to criticize its stance throughout this. So if anything, it would show him as an independent man by not being bothered by this.
Now, some have wondered whether withdrawing all kind of support for this government is more helpful or actually engaging with this government. Actually, the president said engaging with this government is kind of helpful than pushing it away.
Yes, and they are, it seems, trying to draw some kind of balance. They still are taking this position. They will not call it a coup, which would make them cancel the very large part of U.S. aid to Egypt, the $1.3 billion that goes directly to the military. They are keeping that intact. So even though these exercises are off, the big main bind between the two of them remains in place.
I'm very curious, have Egyptian officials said anything regarding this actions that they took, somehow perhaps regretting any extreme action that they may have taken?
No, if anything, they're definitely trying to justify it. They're blaming the Muslim Brotherhood for inciting violence, for the provocation of having these camps. They have said that they were armed people in there. State TV, which is pretty much what everyone's looking at now, most of the Islamist channels have been shut down, have been gone out of their way to show that there was weapons in the camps, and they found video of Muslim Brotherhood supporters firing at policemen. So it's definitely trying to show that what their action and what they did was justified.
Well, thanks a lot, Elizabeth. We'll keep our eye on these developments in Egypt. Elizabeth Arrott reporting for us live from Cairo. Now, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, the EU and other Muslim nations also condemned the violent crackdown. VOA's Michael Lipin reports.
The Egyptian government's deadly decision to evict mostly Islamist activists from 2 Cairo protest camps prompted unusually strong criticism from its main military ally, the United States. Just 2 weeks ago, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry praised the military-backed interim government for trying to restore democracy to Egypt after it toppled elected Islamist President Mohamad Morsi on July 3rd. On Wednesday, Kerry took a sharply different tone.
The United States strongly condemns today's violence and bloodshed across Egypt. It's a serious blow to reconciliation and the Egyptian people's hopes for a transition towards democracy and inclusion.
Kerry reiterated U.S. calls for the government and its opponents to seek a political solution to Egypt's unrest. Manal Omar of Washington's U.S. Institute of Peace discussed the U.S. role in the crisis with Egyptian civil society groups in Egypt earlier this month. She said their main request was for the U.S. government to encourage dialogue between the Arab states' opposing factions rather than take sides.
There were several people who asked that I deliver that message coming back to Washington, saying, whatever happens, U.S. should be promoting principles, they should be promoting nonviolence. They shouldn't get involved in terms of who does it and how it looks like, but really staying true to the principles that the U.S. wants to see.
A spokesman for UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said Mr. Ban regrets that Egyptian authorities chose to use force against the demonstrations.
The Secretary General also believes firmly that violence and incitement from any side are not the answers to the challenges Egypt faces.
Cairo got an almost identical message from EU spokesman Peter Stano in Brussels.
Let me reiterate the EU's position that the violence does not lead to any solutions, and that's why we are urging strongly all parties to exercise maximum restraint.
In Muslim nations that supported Egypt's ousted Islamist president, there was anger at the use of force by the secular Egyptian military leaders who overthrew him. Islamists in the Turkish capital Ankara chanted for Egyptian military chief Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to get out. Turkish President Abdullah Gül accused the Egyptian government of staging an armed assault on civilians and called that unacceptable. Morsi supporters Iran and Qatar made similar accusations. Egyptian authorities said some protesters were armed and fired at security forces. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates refrained from criticizing the crackdown. Both nations opposed Mr. Morsi's Muslim Brotherhood movement and backed the government that replaced him with billions of dollars in aid. Michael Lipin, VOA News, Washington.
As we continue our team coverage, we are joined by Al Hurra's Tarek El Shamy, who is also in the Egyptian capital, Cairo. Hello, Tarek. Now,
hello.
Yes, first explain or describe to us how things have been today.
Well, today we have seen continued crackdown and clashes and attacks from the Muslim Brotherhood and their Muslim allies in different governorates. Today, some of their supporters of the President Morsi have attacked and burned to ashes some governmental building here in Giza and Cairo, and also another in North and South Egypt.
Yes.
Also, we have news just few minutes ago that some gunners have attacked an army unit in northern Sinai and killed 5 soldiers and wounded 7 others up there, which is a sign of escalating violence in Egypt. And at the same time, there have been some kind of an invitation from the government to all political factions and parties together in the coming few days to try to find a solution to this crisis that is looming in Egypt and escalating day after day.
Now, Tarek, have the people left the squares and now operating outside, out of the city itself?
Would you repeat the question, please? I couldn't hear well.
Have the people left those squares where they were before?
Yes, in a way or another, the people here, as you see behind me, the curfew is still going on. Some people are moving because in about 20 minutes from now, the curfew will start. People are worried about the future of Egypt. They are watching the television and radio every now and then and watching everything on TV. They have real worries about the future of Egypt in terms of the Western upset of what has happened in Egypt through the last 2 days. Yeah. In the same time, let me say that the foreign ministry have issued a statement saying that they will confront this Western upset towards what has happened in Egypt by sending them videotapes and video shows that really shows the Muslim Brotherhood and the Muslim their Muslim allies carrying guns, attacking police, attacking the soldiers of the army. They are saying that that was not a peaceful sit down.
Well, Tarek, thank you very much for giving us those updates. That is Tarek El Shamy of Al Hurra reporting for us live from Cairo.